So people keep making these videos saying Baldur's Gate 3 is a wake-up call, Palworld is a wake-up call, and now Helldivers 2 is a wake-up call. So I just wanted to let this clear. I don't do reacts usually. I almost never do them, but I had to do it on this one. So let's just get into it.
It's thousands of views.
Whoops.
Like, I didn't get sponsored for this. Helldivers 2 is a wake-up call. I think this is absolutely true.
No, it isn't. Or at least it shouldn't be.
And I think that all of these big studios that see these games like Helldivers 2 and Last Epoch hitting massive top 10 Steam numbers are thinking to themselves, why the fuck did we just spend $100 million on dog shit?
That's not what they're thinking at all. They're thinking, okay, we need to tweak the formula on our next games for the most amount of monetization versus the least amount of development time. We went over the limit, clearly, and we need to reassess what is worth developing and monetizing to appeal to money-spending consumers. That's what they're saying.
Has done the impossible. It's a game that's come out to incredibly high praise from the people that have been
you guys heard, by the way, with Helldivers 2, that there's apparently just one guy? We have an actual person with the title of Game Master, a single Helldivers 2 dev named Joel, is pulling the strings on the Galactic War like an all-powerful D&D dungeon master. War will become more and more sophisticated over time. Joel just logs on and decides to fucking make an automaton fucking invasion.
It only cost $40. It somehow mended relations within the console war, and for the most part, developers and critics that would normally criticize the game for doing better than theirs have stayed silent.
They're silent because they know this is not their battle. Their battle is figuring out ways to stitch Helldivers 2's successful things onto their IPs and sell it for $70, while saying this is what Helldivers 2 could have been if made by a sextuple gaming company like Unisoft Dickless.
Today we're talking about everything Helldivers 2, from its reception online to odd takes that I've seen on the internet, and also how this game contrasts with many of the games that the AAA industry has been trying to shovel down our throats for far too long. So, let's drop in.
Also, like, I'm going to give a hot take. It's a hot take time.
Oh boy.
I don't think that a AAA studio would take a storyline like Helldivers 2 because they would be worried that the inherent satire of it would be lost on audiences and they could be perceived as promoting the military-industrial complex and fascism. And I think that the discourse around Starship Troopers, because of Helldivers 2, indicates that they are worried about that. That's a hot take? I do. That's genuine. I think that a AAA game studio would never make a game like this. Am I a crazy, stupid, paranoid, fucking dumbass idiot? Well, yeah, maybe, but I think I'm right about this. I do. I really think I think it's true.
Okay. If you're exclusively talking about the lore, well, then yes, there are hundreds of IPs who could have made this game and succeed. Halo, Star Wars, both as a Republican Commando or a Rebellion Special Unit, or even an Empire Kill Squad. Hell, even Stargate, SG-1 was literally a team of 4 people going out to fight evil parasitic wannabe gods and mindless devouring replicators. Starship Troopers Extermination tried, but I bet they're very, very devastated because these guys beat them to the punch. But I'll talk about them at a later time.
You know what would be really cool? Is if this was Mjolnir armor and we were fighting against the Covenant and the Flood. Why is that not happening? Yeah, where's 343? Why didn't they do this? Yeah, what happened? I don't get it. Like, the big guys could be like the hunters, you know?
Yeah, we know.
You got elites there. That could be the tank from Halo, the rocket launcher.
Helldivers 2 exploded onto the gaming
Spartan
scene
laser.
with an explosive launch that captivated both critics and players alike. Developed by Arrowhead Game Studios, the sequel to a twin-stick co-op shooter built upon the foundations of its predecessor, delivering intense cooperative gameplay set in a dystopian future where we are fighting against alien forces to defend managed democracy.
That's right.
With refined mechanics, enhanced visuals, and expanded content, Helldivers 2 offers a thrilling experience for both veterans of the series and newcomers alike.
Yep.
As of recording this video, Helldivers 2 just reached another peak concurrent player number of over 400,000 players on Steam, with an incredibly consistent climb day after day since the game's release. On February 18th, the CEO of Arrowhead Studios, Johan Pielstedt, tweeted saying that the game had over 500,000 concurrent players between PlayStation 5 and Steam.
That's fucking crazy. Like, let me see how much, like, where did it peak at? Yeah, 458,000. So that's just on Steam. Oh my God.
Back when the concurrent player count on Steam was just north of 300,000 players. Later clarifying that the servers are capped at 450 until they can fix stability on their back end.
Which they did,
as
by the way.
The CEO has clarified multiple times, saying that this is not a resource issue with their servers, it's a code issue. The game wasn't built to have this many concurrent players. The official Helldivers...
Yeah, I think a lot of these games, like, they have to understand that, like, if you make it, like, I believe with a good game, I think if you build it, they will come.
We know that. Everyone knows that. But that's not the issue. We have known that since the very early days of games, selling hundreds of thousands or even millions of copies, and we had basically no marketing, streaming, review videos, or even YouTube for that matter.
Just make a good game, and streamers will find the game, they'll stream the game, and if the game's fun, people will buy the game, and then it just pops off.
Sure.
That's what happens.
2 Twitter account announced on the 17th saying, despite our best efforts to increase server capacity to accommodate all of you who want to dive for freedom, we are experiencing capacity issues. We are once more working without delay to improve the issue and hope to have a fix in place as soon as possible. Thank you. Now, I can't help but laugh at some of the CEO's responses on Twitter to people constantly bombarding him and
Yeah, he just fucking roasts people on Twitter.
Hounding him about more servers. My favorite being, the wait screen, mate. Stop tweeting and fix this. Yes, good idea. I will sit behind the engineers and ask them, are we there yet? Or I could let the engineers work independently towards a common goal without me as the CEO pestering them at every moment.
Yeah, what do you think they're doing?
I wonder which one will work best. Now, server issues aside, the game's success was...
I think that this is, for me, this is so refreshing. I love it whenever people that work at these big companies treat the idiots on the internet like idiots on the internet.
I do too, just too bad we don't do it everywhere else. The village crazies used to be outcasts, laughed off and ignored by 99% of the people. But now we got flat earthers, gay people defending Islam, and people paying reparations because of the color of their skin when there are literally still millions of slaves today. But because they're not owned by the white patriarchy or something, it's okay?
I do. And like, even if people
Oh, that's a bad take, Hasmond. That's a really bad take.
say, even if they're wrong, I appreciate them being authentically wrong than being politically correct.
Evident from its outset, with the release garnering widespread acclaim for the game's challenging gameplay,
Almost got
strategic
him.
depth, and online multiplayer. Critics have been praising the dynamic mission system, which has kept every single playthrough feeling fresh and unpredictable, as well as its robust customization options that allow players to tailor their loadouts to suit their preferred playstyles. Or
Yeah, what I'm going to do, so like I do plan on playing this game again, but I only want to play it co-op. I was hoping that like, I could play it with some of the guys and, see what happens. But like I want to play and I'm only going to build turrets. I'm just going to make turrets. That's it. And I'm just going to watch everybody else do stuff. McConnell. I was thinking me, McConnell, S. Fan, Tectone, Emmy, something like that. Some list of that. It'd be great.
to be able to collaborate with the people that they're playing with. Additionally, the game's emphasis on teamwork and coordination has fostered an incredibly vibrant online community, further enhancing its longevity and replay value and also leading to higher sales. With its adrenaline-pumping action and addictive cooperative gameplay, Helldivers 2 has already cemented itself as a standout title in 2024, leaving players, like myself, anticipating what the future holds for this franchise. Now,
I also think that since this game, like for me, I really like games with gear grinds. Like I like it. I know that some people don't like that. I do. I like getting better gear and doing stuff like that. It feels like good for me. But I think that Helldivers 2 will also maintain longevity because it doesn't really have a big gear grind in the same way that, for example, Once Human has a gear grind, or like Destiny has a gear grind. I think, at least it's my understanding, or like WoW has a gear grind, because it will allow people to come back and play the game whenever they want.
The vibrance of that community that I was talking about earlier,
like the gear grind does not become
to the point that
a gear grind is fun to play through, but it also becomes a barrier to entry for returning players and/or new players.
A temporary ceasefire in the console war between Xbox and PlayStation, where fans are actually petitioning to put the game on Xbox, generating memes and videos that are specifically trying to call Xbox players into the fight. Now, this is just something...
I think this is one of the elements that... what do you call it? This is one of the elements that Helldivers 2 does exceedingly well, that's like kind of very covert, is the fact that it's such an inclusive and positive game. You're fighting for Super Earth. You're not fighting for Super America. You're not fighting for Super Russia, Super Europe. It's like everybody is together playing cooperatively. And because there's no PvP and there's no damage meters, a lot of things have been taken into consideration to create the experience of cooperation, of camaraderie.
It's almost like if we were all the same and there were no special groups to be a part of. Something like that, right? Almost like there's no race, religion, or whatever nonsense people keep inventing just to have a freaking cause, right? Because the future of the species should be the cause.
And I think that that's probably one of the other reasons why you see so many people positive about seeing Xbox players play the game. Yeah, a shared common goal.
That you love to see, this cross-platform
And I do really think that stuff matters. In the same way that, remember what I said is I think that one of the reasons why the Final Fantasy XIV community is like less toxic is because the storyline focuses more on redemption arcs, and like the stories are more detailed and they have like more nuance to them. So like players are expected to have like a little bit more like empathy, I guess you could say.
Where gamers are coming together to fight for a common cause. And this is largely one of the reasons why
also it's not a dystopia either. Like, it may seem like some idealized world, but even at the beginning of Helldivers 2 with the storyline, it's very much a utopia. Everything is great. Everything's good. And so, like, there's not like, oh, you're fighting for this dystopian world or anything like that. Things are great. But it's just the fucking bugs, right? You got to kill the bugs and the automatons.
Maybe because if we stopped bickering about every moronic little thing and just embraced reason and unity for the species as a common goal, everything could potentially be fixed. Food for thought.
Always talk about having less exclusivity in video games because it makes for moments like this or moments that are even better than this. And it perfectly suits a game like Helldivers 2 because it's chaotic and hilarious, but it requires a ton of coordination between players. You guys have to be talking about what kind of weapons you're going to bring, what kind of stratagems you're going to bring. You have to actually come up with some type of strategy for many of the things that you're going to do within the time allotted when you guys drop onto a planet. You have to communicate. And when you have to communicate, and we have games like this, which I think are relatively rare anymore, games that force collaboration, well, you make friends. You communicate with other people, and you end up finding out that you guys have far more in common than you don't. And
it's always been like this. I, for one, never understood the value of multiplayer games that just focus on individual achievement. That's what single-player games should be for, the hero or ego trip. Multiplayer should always be about that, playing together for a common goal. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of confidence-craving egomaniacs looking to shit on the other players. Oh, wait. Maybe that's why there's pay to win. Interesting.
And that's what douses some of these console war fires. And that's
Well, that's also like, that's what makes online gaming beautiful and amazing. Like, that's the best. Everybody always talks about, oh, online gaming is so racist and bad.
They are, once you allow people to shit on each other. You will not get better to help others or to help a cause. You will seek to get better at the game so you are not shit on, avoiding humiliation, or be the ones shitting on others. A warped sense of revenge at best, or downright sadist at worst.
Fuck that. Online gaming is amazing. You can play with somebody who lives in a country that you thought was awful, and then that person is totally normal. And that's going to change your outlook on things.
If you are not driven by the game to actively pursue shitting on them in order for you to feel good or win. If you are, then it is exactly that.
this kind of moment should be, except for the fact that, well, Xbox CEO Phil Spencer saw this as an opportunity to just cast another log onto the console war fire. In an interview with GameFile newsletter, Phil Spencer of Xbox said, "I will say, when I'm looking at a game like Helldivers 2, and it's a great game, kudos to the team shipping it on PC and PlayStation, I'm not exactly sure who it helps in the industry by not being on Xbox."
Sony. I'll answer that. Helps Sony.
If you try to twist yourself to say, like, somehow that
I think it helps
somebody somewhere, but I get it. There's a legacy in console gaming that we're going to benefit by shipping games and not putting them on other places. We do the same thing.
Based Phil. He's like, yeah, this is fucking sucks because we don't have the good game. And yeah, we do this too, so it is what it is.
Just to clarify, Sony and Xbox do it because it drives console sales. If you want to play that game, then you have to buy the console that has it. If exclusives didn't exist, they wouldn't have to compete on hardware, and on that note, PCs would obliterate them. The moment exclusives don't exist anymore, console sales plummet, and Sony and Xbox would have to turn to another value proposition. Xbox would survive because of Windows, but Sony, if they didn't have exclusives, then they would just disappear, and they know that.
Now, something like this makes me feel like these CEOs may have the memory of a goldfish, as only just a few weeks ago, Palworld released on Xbox and Steam. However, Phil Spencer didn't have that same energy towards third-party exclusivity then. It seems that exclusivity is only an issue when it doesn't benefit your bottom line. As
I said, exclusivity serves no purpose for the gamer. Like,
Agree. Like I explained before, exclusivity exists just to support the console market's existence. Nothing else.
As the average gamer, we should all want every game to be on every console. That's what I want.
That should be the goal. No exclusives. Consoles just exist as niche, easy to set up PC alternatives to gaming, and the market stabilizes without artificial impediments. The same for Epic or Steam exclusives. Make everyone compete on the same level, like a true free market, and we all, every one of us, save a ton of money, and we can finally shut up about it and just play.
I want everybody to be able to play every game on every console as much as possible.
Me
developer
too.
from Respawn tweeted saying, "Not exactly sure who it helps in the industry to acquire a company and then lay off 1,900 of their developers, Mr. Spencer." My God. The lack of awareness when it comes to some of these guys, I swear. Especially with that last line of, you could twist it so that it's like it's helping somebody somewhere, right? Like we're supposed to just ignore that you guys just purchased Activision Blizzard King and that you also picked up ZeniMax and Bethesda not too long ago either.
To be fair, though, to Phil Spencer, which, like, yeah, obviously it's kind of like a tone-deaf comment, considering the fact that, like, yes, of course they have exclusives too, if you don't count PC, or at least things that aren't on PlayStation. Xbox has announced that multiple games will go to PlayStation. I think that's great, and I hope they keep doing that. And I hope PlayStation starts doing that as well. It's been a Cold War for a long time, and I remember, like, one of the guys, like, yeah, just 4?
That's because they have finally figured out that the death of exclusives will kill Sony, but not Xbox. Just hello? PlayStation has no alternative except being just a game developer. Xbox can keep the console and even sell it as a TV Windows PC. Xbox would be the only console left with a value proposition. It's not that hard, dude. Come on.
Great. That's a good start. It's 4 relatively kind of big games, right? Wasn't it like Hi-Fi Rush and Starfield? Yeah, 4 is more than 0, isn't it? Not Starfield. Sea of Thieves. That's right. Yes, it wasn't Starfield. It was Sea of Thieves. Great. Sea of Thieves is big.
But I'm sure that's helping somebody somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. It's never about our freedoms as consumers. It's always about our money and how to direct that money towards them.
Of course.
Of course it is, Sherlock. Ever since the fucking horse armor, everybody went nuts over and just basically told every single game company, come and milk me out of as much money as you want.
Simple as that. And he can act like they're pulling some type of charity act by sending some games over to PlayStation, but we all know that it's really just to bring up the bottom line a little bit further.
And also to delegitimize the FTC's claim that they are trying to approach a monopoly on PC gaming whenever they purchase the next very large studio after Blizzard.
And achieve the death of Sony and literally have the console market monopoly.
So they have to add other games into other categories and other consoles so that it looks like they're trying to do that. That's the real reason why I think that they're doing it. I think they're doing it. It has nothing to do with their bottom line. I think they're really doing it so they don't get labeled a monopoly.
Wrong. And I'm going to circle back to legendary drops here. It's all about their bottom line in 5 years. They're trying to keep the monopoly reputation away while moving in all directions to secure the monopoly on consoles and later fight Steam with Xbox exclusives. Their goal is to own the gaming industry in 5 to 10 years. Don't get fooled here. It's all about the bottom line. Shareholders will always be happy taking a hit today to their profits if they know they will have a massive hard-on profits in a few years.
Because, in my opinion, that's such a bigger fish than making a little bit extra money off of a couple of games. Think about how big that is.
Now,
because they just barely got by with the Microsoft thing.
Why I do believe
Blizzard.
that
I think they barely got by with it,
and by extension, Palworld have done so well is it's their value proposition towards consumers, and it's something that the AAA industry has gotten relatively disillusioned with over the last few years. Jen, over on Twitter from Windows Central, wrote, Palworld, $29.99. Helldivers 2, $39.99. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, $69.99. Skull and Bones, $69.
I'm going to laugh with next year it's Suicide Squad Kills the studio that made Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. That's what I think is going to happen.
$9.99. You can buy 2 2024 bangers for the price of one AAA title. The former breaking records like we've never seen before.
Maybe it could be earlier, yeah.
Sobering.
In reality, it's more like buy 2 of the best games this year or buy Mindless Color Flashbang, not Spider-Man, but kind of Spider-Man Shit Squad for $70, or buy Quadruple A Unisoft Dick in Their Mouth because this is a shell of what even a mobile game is for $70.
Stuff. And it's no surprise that games like these are breaking records. We live in an era where we have $70 AAA games and even now quadruple A games that are offering a lower quality experience with maximized monetization.
Let's be clear here. It's not a worse quality. They're offering bad mobile games for $70.
I mean, Diablo 4 is selling horse armor for the same price that you can buy both Helldivers 2 and Palworld.
What a fucking surprise.
I remember...
Or just Diablo 4 itself.
Watching a video from Dark Microtransactions recently where he brought up how Blizzard could make the horse armor a part of the game's leaderboard system.
Why would they do that?
Way players
if they could,
are actually rewarded for playing the game rather than just having them being demanded of more money. However, that kind of galaxy-brained thinking just doesn't suit the AAA money machine model of give less and ask for more.
Right.
Because it's all about what's the least amount of game they can develop to make the most money. It's the fucking minimum viable product.
Widely speaking, I think that players are fine with paying higher prices for those games as long as those games are worth the money that we are spending. If this conversation was flipped, that you could buy Palworld and Helldivers 2 for the same price of Baldur's Gate 3, the dynamic of that conversation switches from this is a ripoff to customers having to weigh the benefits of either choice.
How much is the Elden Ring DLC? They announced the price, didn't they? $40. That's a lot of money for DLC. But I bet everybody's going to buy it. The problem is not the price. The problem is the value. It's all about the value. People would buy Palworld for $70. People would probably buy Helldivers 2 for $70 as well. By the way, less people would. But if the game is good and it gives a good value proposition, then people will pay a lot of money for it.
Okay. This is completely the wrong way to go about it. It's just focusing on the $70 like we did before on 60 and before on 50. It's about the value, yes, but the real value. Not if its value is worth $70. That's why Palworld, Last Epoch, and Helldivers 2 are so successful. It's because they made great games and decided to charge us less money and still make a killing on profits. Yes, people would probably spend $70, but is it true value just for the $70? Is the value of the records broken and the sheer amount of players enjoying these games more valuable? Palworld with over 2 million concurrent players. That shit sells itself after that. That's the difference. They charge less, make money, and get a game that is going to sell itself for years to come. That's the value of the $30 or $40 sale price of these games against the $70 standard you can't get your head out of. For the big studios, they always want the money now and think it needs to pay for itself on release day. If you keep your head on the $70, studios will try to justify the $70 sale price in their development. Not just make a game as great as they can and then attach a price to it. The metric reverses, get it? Same for the $40 DLC for Elden Ring. I would never, ever give $40 for DLC. And if you do, you are telling the gaming industry to make more of them, instead of more Helldivers 2 and more Palworlds, etc. If they can develop a DLC in a quarter of the time and a fraction of the cost of a new game, then guess what? What's the value proposition of a DLC versus a Helldivers 2 or a Last Epoch? Are they equal? Are they worth it? Is one company trying to get as many players as possible and the other one trying to get as much money as possible? Stick with the plan, dude. Pick a side. Consumer or business? Helldivers 2 helps the consumer. $40 DLCs hurt the consumer. Us.
It's important that these games earn our money. And that's the same belief of Helldivers CEO after the game was being accused of being pay to win. I'm partial, but we really applied ourselves to not make it
really
pay to win, even though items are functionally different. The only item that's pay to win is the revolver, which will win you any cool gun competition. Only minor problem is that it's not that good. Another person responded, I'm so glad that you guys are continuing the trend of very fair and not predatory microtransactions in PlayStation multiplayer games. Quite happy about that. So many live services end up dying because they chase greed instead of fun and big player base. Love this so much. To which...
Yeah, the reason why live service games die is because the game sucks. That's the real reason. That's it. It gets stale and it's bad. It has nothing to do with the price of the microtransactions. Path of Exile has fucking store packs that are $570, and everybody loves the game. At least everybody in the ARPG community loves the game. It has nothing to fucking do with the microtransactions, and it has everything to do with the value proposition and the content. Content is all that matters.
PoE is loved because of three things, content being one of them. The other two is it's free to play, or as I call it, free to start playing. And two, it also caters to whales like you, as you are about to admit, even though you sell it as being just for content.
Arrowhead CEO responded,
Do that right,
you have
and
to
nothing
earn
else
the right
matters.
to monetize. I
Look at
truly
Honkai
believe
Star
that.
Rail.
If people want to support this
gotcha
title, they
game.
have an option. But we're never forcing anyone to do so. Now,
Yeah.
I want to clarify how monetization works in Helldivers 2, as it seems like there are still people that are relatively confused. I get it. When I first saw the war bond system, I said, ew, and then I realized how it worked, and I said, oh. When running missions, you will earn requisition slips, medals, samples, and super credits. Medals and requisition slips are earned at the end of every single mission, but can also be found on the map at different bonus objectives. Samples and super credits are only found in missions. However, super credits can be purchased with real money. Medals are used to progress your game's battle pass in their requisition menu. This is their war bond system that functions similar to a battle pass in Fortnite, where you have the choice of what you want to unlock, when you want to unlock it, but you have to buy enough things to be able to progress to the next page. Samples and requisition slips are used to unlock higher-end stratagems and upgrades for your ship and for use in the field.
Yeah, these are valuable.
Super credits are used for buying cosmetics or unlocking the premium war bond, which is the next tier of the battle pass. War bonds or battle passes do not expire. You'll be able to progress them at your leisure and unlock items as you will. You cannot buy...
I wish that the gaming community could come together and boycott expiring battle passes. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to finish a battle pass when you want to finish it, even if you don't play the game. I really wish people could come together and just be like, no, we're done with that. No, like, if we want to earn it, yeah, no respect for my time. Exactly.
Agreed, but there will always be people that just buy the battle pass, and the fear of missing out is long established as a sales driver. You will never win that fight. If they take it out, they would do it only by choice and with a full realization that it would actively be costing them money. Because, again, people with no time to play, but that want the stuff on the battle pass, will still buy it before the time ends to get the stuff on it.
Medals, so there is no way for you to just buy your way into higher end equipment and weapons. So super credits are used for two things. That's the in-game premium currency. You can use them to buy cosmetics, and you can use them to unlock the premium war bond, which is the battle pass that you progress for more equipment, more weapons, more upgrades, and things like that. But by the time that you have completed the basic war bond, the one that we all start with at the very beginning of the game, the one that's free, by the time that you even get halfway through or even close to the end, you've likely already earned enough of the premium currency the game has by running missions and getting some of it from the first war bond directly to just go ahead and upgrade to the premium war bond. There's literally nothing stopping you from doing it.
Sure.
And then you're probably sitting there asking yourself, well, then that means that the cosmetics have to be absurd, right? Because that's how many of these games usually operate. No, actually, most of the super credits that are used for cosmetics are anywhere from like 250 to 500. The premium war bond is 1,000. So you can earn many of the credits that you need for a couple cosmetics within one session of playing with friends if you're playing, well, I guess a little bit longer period of time, like 3 to 6 hours or something like that, depending on how long people play.
That's reasonable.
Or if you're just focusing on trying to farm that specific currency, you'll be able to get it relatively quickly. There's guides online, people showing how you can just farm super credits if that's something that you're trying to chase. But you can casually play, and you'll never run into a moment where you're like, I need to go and buy this currency. Simple as that. Now,
Yeah, I think that's incredible, by the way. Thank fucking God.
By the way, this is something that has been around forever in games like EVE Online, where you can buy premium time or Omega with in-game currency. If you spend the time and put in the work, anyone should be able to farm enough in-game credits to buy Plex in around 2 to 3 weeks, and then finance your next month of premium time. It's been around for years and years. Same for skins and other premium stuff.
I'm not a huge fan of microtransactions or battle passes. I largely do not engage with games that have these kind of things.
I engage with the games that have battle passes and microtransactions. I just don't buy them. Like anything that you can buy in a store immediately means that it has zero value.
It has zero value, but you still spend thousands of dollars on them, right?
Again, but oh yeah, I'll do it for content for stream. Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
But like I'm talking about like what I do on a personal level. Like yeah, of course I'll do it for stream content or whatever. But for a personal level, no, absolutely not. PoE, never bought the Battle Pass in PoE, never bought Battle Pass in Diablo 4, except for like the one that came with the game or something like that. But other than that, sure, your PoE stash then? Oh no, I've spent over $1,000 on PoE.
There it is.
But none of that money was on Battle Passes.
So remember, fellas, as long as you don't spend money on the Battle Pass, you can spend thousands of dollars on the other shit with no value, but it's okay because it's not the $10 or $15 Battle Pass. If you replay this and look just at his face, you can almost see the AI flinching at the level of bullshittery it's saying. Do it, I dare you, and see the program fighting to keep going despite the contradiction and hypocrisy.
Because I don't believe in it. However, with that said, this is largely the most engaging and player-friendly monetization system that I have ever seen in a video game, and it needs to be celebrated. Because this isn't something that's just designed to extract more money from us. It's actually something that's designed to be able to, well, have them continue to monetize their game, but also be something fun for us to actually engage with.
Correction. This is something for the people with money and no time to spend money on, and the people with no money and lots of time to grind towards. Everyone can get it done by investing either money or time. That's the win here. It's not pay to win or pay to progress in the negative way, because everyone can get the stuff for free by playing more time. Whales and no-lifers rejoice.
They made monetization a fun part of the game loop.
I wouldn't call it fun.
Well, it's fine if the game wants to monetize itself. The monetization just shouldn't be parasitic of the game itself. The problem is that a lot of times monetization in video games becomes the way the video game slowly revolves around that monetization. That's where the real problem comes in.
If by that you mean the game is designed from the ground up to favor monetization, like the crafting is there, but the last level of crafting to craft the best gear is only available with a material that is only available for purchase with real money, then yes, I agree. But I must make this very clear. It only exists because people buy it. No monetization method spreads if it fails. If people buy it, it will spread because other companies don't want to miss out on that new way of making money. If no one bought the horse armor back in the day, we wouldn't have monetization in games today.
Helldivers 2 deserves every ounce of praise and success it receives, and then some. For me, it is refreshing to see yet another game that is prioritizing the player experience over greedy monetization tactics that have been unfortunately becoming all too common in the AAA industry. In a landscape where
and they have to be. That's the problem.
And the price of
like these games have to have these predatory microtransactions. They have to do it, and the reason why they have to do it is because they have they spent $150 million on it. That's the main reason. So like they need to make that money back. So obviously they're going to do that. It makes sense.
No, that's not the reason. The reason is they spent $150 million developing a game around monetization strategies, and they have to stick with the formula because the market has shown them time and time again that people will spend their money if they give them an incentive to. It's the whole reason free games exist, because they're monetized in the game through various techniques. They do it because it's what people tell them makes the most money.
The shareholders, they've got to make the money back.
Games seems to overshadow gameplay. Helldivers 2 stands out as a beacon of integrity, reminding us of the joy that games should be bringing us. Despite encountering its server issues, which is pretty understanding, the game didn't really expect to see this much success. Especially following a game like Palworld, Helldivers 2 excels where it truly matters, delivering incredibly fun and engaging games.
That's such a good line. The game is good at what matters. Like, for example, I saw there were a lot of tweets talking about the facial movements of Harley Quinn in Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. I don't care. I'll even go farther. No one cares. Make a good game.
I agree, but with one caveat. What is a good game these days? And a good game for who? A good game for us is Helldivers 2. For game companies, it's the games that make billions a year on microtransactions. What game do you expect the shareholders to push? The CEO, the sales department, the marketing. What game do you want them to make when we, the consumers, have been telling them again and again that the best games to make money on are gacha games? Honestly, what do you expect PoE to do after you spend over $1,000? Make more content or develop more ways to get another $1,000 from you? Honestly, it's like the preacher delivering a sermon about gluttony being a sin and cake makers are the devil, while he himself weighs 250 kilos because all he eats is cake.
Play experiences, especially when you're enjoying it with friends. The game's cooperative gameplay, incredible sound design, enemy variety, and variance in missions
but I don't give
makes
a fuck.
for some of the most memorable moments that I've had playing games with friends.
Who cares?
Helldivers 2 is also a stark reminder of the disillusionment that is prevalent in the AAA industry. Learning now that former Halo developers once pitched a game similar to this game's premise underscores the industry.
Former Halo developers. So you're saying we could have had
tendencies to prioritize.
Yes, we could. But you and others keep buying and stuffing yourselves with cake.
Financial gain over creativity and innovation by just continuing to make the same thing.
We could have been ODST,
over again. It's disheartening to see so many studios.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think you could also be Spartans. Like, you could be like, pre-Reach era Spartans. It'd be fucking crazy good.
Yes, it would be. Stop buying cake then.
Neglecting to publish games that they themselves would want to play or that would resonate with players. Instead, the industry appears to be consumed by money and individual egos. A far cry.
I honestly think that AAA is too big to succeed. I think they have to over monetize their games because they spend so much money on making them and they'll never make the money back on box sales. That's the problem.
The problem is the fucking cake. Stop buying cake and the industry will survive only by making good games for us. If all they have to make money on is making good games, the fucking cake will not be for sale because no one would buy it. Supply and demand, Captain Deforestation. If people want to buy cake, they will sell cake. If we stop buying it, they will stop investing into it.
From the roots of its passion and creativity. The words of Larian Studios CEO proudly declaring their independence from shareholders.
We don't have shareholders, but we also don't think about them.
Prioritizing game quality should be a wake-up call for the industry at large. It's high time for a fundamental shift in priorities among some of the biggest players in the video game industry. A return to core values of
also, I don't even think that it's prioritizing the shareholders in the long run. I don't. Because, for example, the studios that are going to make these games that prioritize making short-term profits, they're going to lose money overall. And whenever they lose money overall, then the shareholders are going to be fucked.
But then they will see many highly monetized games out there pulling in over $1 billion a year. some over 10 billion over their whole existence, and think, shall we try another less monetized game or a more monetized game? Stop buying cake.
It's just short-sighted thinking.
Games that are fun and engaging for players rather than solely focusing on profit margins.
Yeah.
Helldivers 2 is not just a game. It's a rallying cry for change, a reminder that the soul of gaming lies in the joy that it brings to the players, not the dollars that it generates.
Yeah, it eats too much
I
cake.
want more games like Helldivers 2, like Palworld, like Baldur's Gate 3, like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I want games that value my time as much as they value my money, that value my enjoyment as much as they value my money.
Yeah.
And I realize that that's a really tough sell for the AAA industry, but
who gives a fuck if they fuck them? Who cares? Like, if they make a good game, great. If they don't, okay, I'll play something else. Like, I'm not going to rely on a AAA gaming industry to make me happy. Fuck that. Like, if I'm playing a game, I'm enjoying myself playing the game, then that's all that really matters. Like, I don't care who makes it. Like, I don't need to have like this massive game that's of the scope of World of Warcraft or something like that for this to happen. Just make a good game. And that's it.
I know it's getting old by now, but there isn't anything else I can say other than stop stuffing your face with cake then.
They're not buying. These independent studios are going to keep getting my money and all of my content, because this is exactly the thing that I love talking about. I love talking about games that I am enjoying, that I want other people to play, and I want to sell.
And I think this is also a problem with Diablo 4 too. And this is why I think that Diablo 4 might not ever be successful, because of the bloat in which it's designed.
And the fucking cake it was made to sell. I'll stop now.
Celebrate the things that they do that bring value to us as customers to them. That's largely one of the reasons why I like making videos to begin with, because this is fun. This is positive and interesting content for us to discuss, contrast with some of the poor purchases that we have to make sometimes or have made in the past, and look to see this is what we value now, and continue to buy games like this and support games like this because they value us as much as we value their game. It's not that complicated.
It's not, but it is. What you're asking for is a 100% shift from all the consumers of games. And that will never happen because there will always be people that want cake. And so the rest of us are screwed. Once in a while, a Helldivers 2 will come along, but for the most part, it's just going to be studios selling cake. Some people buying cake, and the rest of us complaining about the game having cake, while Lieutenant No Game Pass but feel free to spend money on everything else keeps buying cake.
I'm getting ready to prep a review for this game. It's going to take me a little while. I'm one of those guys.
It really isn't. It's really not that complicated at all. I don't know when developers stopped realizing the simple reality of make a good game and people will buy the game. Like, for
the fucking horse armor. That's when. One sadist decided, let's put some cake for sale on our game. Let's just try it out. It costs next to nothing to make, and let's just see if people want it. A few hours later, the same dev goes, I never knew people were this starved of cake. Quickly make more cake and different kinds of cake, and cake that you can only get for a few days, and cake you can only eat for 24 hours after you buy it. And then the whole industry went, quickly put cake for sale on every game we have now. And Sergeant Smooth Hairline shouted, cake! That's when.
For example, if somebody makes a really good game, I'll play their game. And like, for example, this game here, I played this game and the video that I did about it got a ton of views. It got hundreds of thousands of views. Like,
yes, you played the game for 6 hours and made $1,000 on YouTube. Great. I don't know about you, but 6 hours of gameplay is not what a good game is to me. Unless it's selling for $1, it's not a good game.
I didn't get sponsored for this game. I just played it because it was good. Like, just make a good game and people will play the game. It's not that complicated.
You should know by now about the whole cake thing, so I'll just keep it to myself.
Guys, it has
Cake! Sorry.
to put a serious amount of time into something before I can finish it. I wish I could be like Mortismal Gaming, who 100% games. That guy's a psycho, by the way.
That's just crazy.
Yes.
I can't believe that, but
Look, I have nothing but respect for Asmon and Legendary Drops, but it's not rocket science here. Stop buying shit in games, and they will go back to designing good games only. Because if that's the only way we give them to make money, then they will stop putting cake on everything. But if we keep buying cake, then stop complaining about it while stuffing yourselves with it. I will link both their channels and respective videos in the description. Go check them out. Leave your thoughts about this whole thing and just please be respectful. Leave a like, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.